This is Justin AMZN. On Wednesday, April 7th, 2021, we had a really great open. So we had a nice high wave candle yesterday, gapped up slightly, put in a really nice indecision candle, bearish candle, retesting, an inside candle next to it on the 5-minute, and then broke out. When we broke out, we came right into this line at 32.48.95. We've had this on here for a long time. Since December, and put in 15 minutes of just a stair step. During this time, the open and then the close and the open of these candles was almost the same value. And then the next candle here had a lower wick right into the 5, really into that same level, and we were just off to the races. If we look at the 3,300 call, the same one we were looking at, we opened up right around the same price we closed. You see this high wave candle or a larger bearish candle, still right at so right at the open. It was a little bit more than $100 risk could handle, but it's set up nicely with the inside candle and then the breakout, and then this stair step here. So it worked out the same way right at the open, that you had a very similar stair step. You could really be buying right at the open, close, or open price of this. Obviously, it's hard to buy at the open of a candle unless you just put a market order out. So I wouldn't necessarily do that. I would say, well, put in a value, a limit order at the value that you want to get filled. So like, what's the open here? 725. It put in a low of 650. So 725 by 625 would have worked, would have filled based on this candle. This candle here put in a low of 730. So you would have just missed it. Or there was nobody with an order there at 730 and didn't get filled at that price. So 725 could have still worked on this candle. If you missed all of that, we can jump into the 3350 call and see what you could have done there. But the other thing I noticed is on the option, it really looks like it doesn't want to go above 10. Like it pokes above it here, comes back down, and then you have these upper wicks pushing above 10. And these two high wave candles right here, I know it's harder to see. Let me zoom in on just this portion. Okay. So these high wave candles here match up really nicely. Oops, don't do that. Match up really nicely right here with these high wave candles. The lower wick here, it doesn't look that bad on the 5-minute, but this looks like a trapping move on the call. And then we break out, or at least we get above these wicks. But this is one of my favorite setups, getting in at 10, stop at 9. These candles are really set up to do it, but you don't take the breakout. It's moving up. You just wait for a retest. So you get the order in after the breakout, doesn't fill here, would have filled in this candle. Getting it in at 10, stop at 9, even though it would have put in a lower wick here, you're taking a chance, risking that R that, okay, it's going to hold this level with these indecision candles. This was just a trap. It's breaking out. Let me get in on my level at 10, because it was really running right up under that price. Almost 10, almost 10, almost 10, poked through, came back, a little bit through 10, a little bit through 10, breakout into 10. And this is the first close, right? Now I guess technically we got a close on this candle at 10.10. So, but this would have been a great setup here to get in at 10, stop at 9, and a 3-hour target. And that would have been an incredible move very quickly. Getting in at 10 and getting out at 13 would have happened here. Now, if you saw that this would, have the potential to continue running, well, then cancel the target order, keep the stop in place, but cancel the target order here. It's just been riding the 5, like all day long, it's been riding the 5 at this point. So let it ride the 5 up even further and set the target at 8 hours. So getting it at 10, target at 18R. I'm sorry, target at 18, which would be an 8-hour trade, and that would have filled not very long after. I mean, would have filled, let's see, how many candles is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 30 minutes later would have been out for 8R. That was a great setup. It just rode the 5 all the way up. Finally did tag the 21 over here. I was showing this chart to another trader without the moving averages on, and I knew it was pulling back a little bit through here just from having the chart set up this way. I'm like, watch it just pull into the 21 and bounce off this line. Sure enough, it did. It got a little bit of a bounce and came up 25 minutes of selling only pushed it down to here, really held the same lows from earlier, and then it started to bounce. So this was a little bit more of an S curve. So it didn't get the S curve here, poked through, looking for some bears to get in, trapped them as it rallied up here, and we did actually cross 3,300. We did have a bit more of a selling come in later in the day in the last hour. You can see it on the calls losing value. You can see it on the stock. It was really hard to see on the 3,200 put. You'd have to go closer to see that selling come in. And even then, I mean, it wasn't hugely significant. So I guess this was later in the day. So I guess, you know, you could have had a couple of hours getting in on some of these smaller candles. These had way under $100 risk. So getting in and probably at like 8 and a stop down at 7, or getting in on these lower wicks, like getting in at 9, a stop down at 8, you know, to play the move that way. But then it didn't quite get up to 12 to get out for 3R. So that would probably be counter trend. Just look for a scalp, look for an R or something. Let's see. I did say I would jump over to the 3350. So like I said, if you felt like you were missing the move, look at how well this played out with really relative highs and higher lows, or you know, mostly higher lows, and you've got less than $1 range on all of these candles. So really you could get in like here. This was the candle that's breaking out. No, yeah, that was. Then retest on this candle. Just get in at 350, get in at 4, stop down at 3, get in at 4, target is 3Rs, so that's 7. Maybe you get out at 7 here, or you hold through a retest, or you have another chance to get in at 4. You could be buying here at 4, possibly get in. The lows here were 4, exactly, and then it runs up and hits 7. This was one of the options that you could have been buying the dollar increments. So buy at 3 and just let it run, buy at 4, just let it run, buy at 5, just let it run, and it just kept working. Buy it every increment as it looked like it kind of dipped a little bit. You know, each one of these dips, just buy into the next dollar amount back. Maybe that's a strategy. I've not, you know, gone through and evaluated how well that works. It doesn't work all the time, but you know, it looks like it could work some of the times. It's really simple. You're just buying a whole dollar amount and setting your stop at the next lower dollar. At some point, you got to get out. So, you know, you want to buy, if you're buying at 5, just scalp and get out at 6 or get out at 7, you know, whatever your target's going to be, and that could work. I don't know if you want to hold for 3 hours every time, but that's usually the setups I'm looking for, or the potential for that, to set that 3-hour target, unless you can get a bigger move. And the closer you get, the better you can do with maximizing that risk and being in an option that's closer to at the money and can go into the money or near the money. So this was, you know, this had like an 8-hour move pretty easily. It was still about 15 points out of the money when that 10 hours or 8 hours would have filled, you know. So that's some of the opportunities when you can really push the level that you're getting in, and getting in on that retest, and just having the level set, or looking for that kind of favorite price point. So mine is looking at getting in at 10, a stop at 9, and sometimes just letting it run and letting it work. So this was a good day for this. This was a good day for a really nice continuation. We definitely you know, got further into, you know, past this gap. And I did talk about the potential that we could just continue to run up and push up into like 33.30, because this was just a lot of selling in this candle, and there wasn't really much of a pivot all through here. So if we do continue on up, you know, I think it's not too much further, but I think that's the point that we could have some resistance come in. We've had a really nice run so far. So interesting how it's just continued to go and nothing's really slowing it down. So see what happens next. Hope this helps. This is Just AMZN. Thanks.